Hi everyone, my name is Chris Yade and welcome out to the Dice Tower. Today I'm taking a look at the solo mode for this game here, Zapotec by Board & Dice, designed by Fabio Lopiano. This is a game that I reviewed very highly. I have good regard for this game. It's a very quick, light, and breezy game. I was the one in the office who liked it the most in our Foursquare review. And part of the reason is because I've played the solo mode a few times, so let me show you exactly how that solo mode plays. And then I'll tell you my thoughts on it. I've obviously alluded to the fact that I enjoy it, but let me tell you why. Here's the solo setup for a game of Zapotec. You'll see that it's a two-player setup, so we're not using the 3 or 4 player areas here, and you're only putting out 3 trade tiles of each level. 3 level 1 tiles, 3 level 2, and 3 level 3. The rest are put back into the box because this lineup, this market, will not replenish. Otherwise, this is basically a 2-player setup. You'll have 6 cards in hand, just per normal. But the other change over here is that there's only 2 cards in the lineup, one that you'll replenish your hand, and then the other will go out as the new scoring objective. This is Kokojibot. They are a mess over here because they don't need that income track, they don't need the player board. They're playing by their own rules over here. This is their deck of cards that's going to determine their initiative order and where they're going to build, and you will be able to glean a little bit of information on the back here. So on this next turn, Kokojibot's going to build in one of these dirt regions, or it's going to build in the green deities region, or it's going to build in the whatever type of terrain it's going to be. You get a little bit of a hint from it. So, as in the original game, you're going to choose one of your cards, and that's going to determine your income, where you can build, and what your initiative is going to be. And so I'll choose this one, and I'll play it face up, and then the Kokojibot card will get flipped over. And we'll see, hey, yeah, indeed, they are building in the dirt area, and they're going to be building in the blue deities region in the dirt area. They're building the yellow building. But their initiative is 16, so they're going to go after us. We'll take our normal turn. Income, capital actions, building actions, replenish, deck, and then this, at the end of the round, this card will go over here, become the new scoring objective. So your turn is basically the exact same. But let's talk about Kokojibot. As I said, the blue deity region, brown dirt area, yellow building is what they're going to build. So they'll come here and they'll claim this one. And they just keep this in front of them for future reference. Now, they're also going to look at the main scoring objective card, and you're going to do the same thing where you'll build a yellow house or a yellow building in the blue deities region, but instead of matching this terrain, they're going to match the scoring objective. So they'll build a second house over here, blue deities region, yellow type of building, but then in the mountainous region, because that's the objective over here, and now they're done building. The last thing that they'll do is a capital action shown on the bottom of the card here. Whenever they get cornfields, they're going to be moving up the sacrifice track by the number of cornfields that they've built. So in this case, Kokojibot, boop, boop, goes up 2 steps, and they're going to earn the point from that, and then they'll score this bonus as per normal at the end of their turn. So now, this would slide over, this becomes the new objective. You have a deck of 6 cards over here, and this is the timer for the solo game. Once this is out, you play out the last round, and then that's the whole game. You play 5 rounds like normal. As I mentioned, if you get a trade tile, it comes out and put in front of you, and it doesn't get replaced. If Kokojibot ever does an action in which they get one of the trade tiles, like here, whenever they build green buildings, they get a trade tile. They'll go from the top left available and then just flip it face down, or they can take it, put it in front of them, however works for you, and basically they're closing off those trade tiles from you. And then eventually they can also build a level of pyramid. If they do, they'll take their biggest piece, they'll start a new pyramid if they can, and then they're going to take from over here the first objective. And now, every time that they do a build, so on their next turn, you're going to be building this type of building in this valley in this type of terrain as per normal. They're also going to try to match the scoring objective if they can. But in this case, because this is the same as the main scoring objective, they're not going to build an additional building. But because now they have a pyramid they're invested into, they're also going to choose to build a red building as well as the yellow in the Golden Deities region in the mountainous terrain. And so they will be going ahead and doing that as well on their turn. That way they kind of speed up, they start building more and more things as they can, and there's a rule for building out the palace. If ever they have an option where both of these work together, or if not, at the end of the game, whatever last thing they build, they'll put out the palace so they get double scoring for it. And that's pretty much it. So you can see this is the rulebook section for it here. Setup explanation, a brief explanation of gameplay, and then what all the main actions are, and this is it. They have a little bit of different scoring, where they score points for the sacrifice track, majority no matter what. They'll score 3 points per level of trade tile that they've grabbed, and then on the ritual cards here, if they ever earn a ritual card by themselves, they'll score 10 points. But if it's ever shared with you as well, they only score 6 points off of it. And then they score 5 points per pyramid piece, as if it was completed, even if it's not. And they'll still score the normal endgame stuff otherwise, including pyramid bonuses. So that's the pretty simple way of how you manage Kokojibot. So Board and Dice as a company includes solo modes in a lot of their games, some of which I've tried and some of which I've not, because some of them are very, very involved. And I think that's fine because those games are very involved games. Teotihuacan comes to mind. There's a lot of rules for managing the AI opponent or the computer player, however you want to call it. But Zapotec is a much lighter game, and so I appreciate that it is a lot simpler of a process to manage its turns. It's not really a flowchart. It's not really a lot of if-thens kind of, going off of each other. Really, it's going to build 1, 2, or 3 buildings on its turn and do a capital action. And I like that structure. I like that it's all condensed into a single deck of cards. You're going to flip over 5 of those cards, and there's a huge stack of them. And so I think that what it does is it leans into this idea that there are the 3 valleys in the game with the 3 terrain types and the 3 building types. It leans into that, and it makes it a really competently made little solo mode. I'm not sure if this one was designed by Fabio Lopiano as well, or if it was kind of a developed effort with other designers. But however it works, I feel like it sticks with the theming of the game well, or maybe not the theming, but the design theme of it, if you will, right? The 3 different types of terrains, 3 buildings, etc. It allows the solo bot to have a card that flips over. You know exactly what building it's going to build. Great. It also will build where there's that scoring objective card. Great. That makes sense. It wants to score those points. If it's built a pyramid, it might build a 3rd building in a parameter that matches the pyramid. Great. All of that is sensical. All of that stuff that regular players would want to do also. You don't have to manage resources for it. You don't have to manage a board for it. I think all of that stuff is great. Simple. It's very quick. I can spend more of my mental energy thinking about my turn. I can spend more time playing my turn. That's what I want, generally speaking, from solo games. Now, I know that for the more involved ones, there is a lot there's a lot of value in having a slightly more complex and robust system, so it feels more like you're playing against the machinations of another player. This game, I feel like it doesn't need that. What it gives me is it tightens up the board. I know that the computer player is doing certain things, and so, am I going to let it build all the pyramids, or am I going to jump into the fact that it's building up pyramids? Am I going to let it outdo me on the sacrifice track, or should I lean heavy into that? And it lets me be a little bit reactive, but also just kind of lets me have the headspace to do what I want to do. This game is going to play like in about a half an hour, tops if you're playing it solo. Maybe not tops, right? Depending on how long you're putting into it. But you can easily play this game in like a half an hour, especially, with just 2 players or solo. And so you want to try something weird? You want to try a game where you just go all the way up to the top of the sacrifice track and see what happens? Cool, do that. You want to try and play a game where you become the pyramid builder? This is a super easy way to be able to try that out and see what this game has to offer, because I really like the income system. I really like the little grid that you build. I like the idea of trying different things, and this game is so limited with only the 5 rounds that you don't have time to do everything. And so playing this one solo is one of the ways that I've gotten to try lots of different zany strategies or try different things and then see what kind of happens from it. And so I like this one a lot. This is a solo mode I'm going to keep coming back to because of how easy it is to set up, play, clean up. That's probably the worst part, is just putting out the buildings and all the all the regular spots. Okay, got to separate out the 3 and 4 player tokens, and then I got to put them onto the right spots. But after that, you're good to go. I really like this one. I would recommend it. It almost feels silly giving this one a numerical score, right? Because I just like the game so much, so obviously I'm going to like this, but I think it's well designed. If I had one complaint, it's that there's not a lot of iconography in the rule book. There's iconography on the cards that I was confused about at first, and then I had to read a section in the rulebook that said, oh, if it's on a green building card in the Kokojibot, that means it's going to take a trade tile. I didn't realize the 2 arrows pointing at each other meant trade tile, because I haven't seen that symbolism elsewhere. I thought that was a little bit odd. The game has a good player aid for the regular multiplayer mode, but it doesn't have a player aid for the solo mode, and I thought that would have cleaned things up a little bit. That's one of my biggest complaints, but I guess score-wise, I'll give this an 8.5, same as my thoughts on the game in general. I really like it. If you're a person who likes to play games solo, I think that this one is going to be a rewarding little thing to tinker with for 30 minutes if you don't want to play a bigger, more, table sprawling kind of a game. But I feel like you still get a decently robust experience from it because you're worried less about the AI and you're worried about your own little system. So that's my thoughts on Zapotec. My name is Chris Yee. Thank you for coming by the Dice Tower, and have yourselves a great day.